Hey guys, Kyle the Death Knight of Anime here, and we're back with One Piece. And I'll just say straight up, this is again another one of those times where, pretty much because we haven't had a One Piece episode in so long. This episode, this episode, for whatever problems I might have with it, it was just so fun to return to the One Piece anime and just felt like a breath of fresh air. It felt like I was it felt like I was returning. I was seeing an old friend again or something like that. Like it was so good in order to. It was just such a. I just had such a I just had such a smile on my face like watching the anime again because well, the biggest thing for me when it comes to the One Piece anime, honestly, is that even though I'm even though I'm perfectly aware of all the problems that face like modern One Piece in the anime, I've at the same time I still have such a nostalgic connection to it because I was basically there when One Piece had first aired on TV, like back during like what people consider like the dark the dark age of the 4 Kids stuff and whatnot. Like I was pretty much there when it first aired on TV, and so yeah, it's like I because of my deep nostalgic connection, it's just every time it's just every time a situation like this rises up, where the anime has to go on break and it returns like this, it's just entertaining. It really is entertaining. It reminds me just why I love One Piece so much, whether it's the manga or the anime. Um, but okay, yeah. So getting away from that rant though. So so before anything else, the one thing that needs to be addressed though is Queen's introduction and his dancing. Because, yeah, that's one of those moments where I already had a hard, like, when it came to Queen's dancing, I already had a hard time taking that shit seriously in the manga, but in the anime, it's infinitely more ridiculous and way more hilarious. Not helped either by the fact that for those in the anime Twitter sphere will know it that that one moment of Queen dancing has been musically memed to death. Like there are so many different there are so many different like videos of that one dance on Twitter, just pretty much spliced with different music, and yeah, it's just one of those things where it's one of those things where again it was hilarious in the manga, but in the anime and with Twitter and with online social media culture and whatnot, it's kind of hilarious. So yeah, just the whole combination of factors. I guess you could say it's not the best first impression if you're trying to take Queen seriously as a threat, but it is entertaining. So I guess we can at least say we were entertained. And and aside from that though, the big thing that we do get out of this with Queen being introduced into the prison mine now is we get his bounty. And let's just say I hope when the time comes for Queen to get serious that they actually expand on his moment a little more, because the other problem I kind of have with Queen is that let's just say he needed more of a time. Let's just say my biggest problem with Queen in the manga is that he needed more time in order to show why he's one of Kaido's best men. Let's just leave it at that for now. But yeah, hopefully that's a problem that the anime actually fixes by maybe expanding the expanding expanding his moment when we get to it in the anime. But we'll just have to wait and see, I guess. Um, so now one thing I really want to talk about with this episode is the confrontation between between Hyogoro, Luffy, and Daifugo, the Vice Warden. Because on the surface, it's a very simple scene and one that we've seen many times before. So it's not really a thing out of the ordinary when it comes to Luffy's character for him to just kind of like in order to save someone and just pretty much go all out, even when the odds are against him. But if you really look at how everything plays out, the one thing that scene did is just pretty much through, especially when it came to when she'll go to a speech, you can see that this how much the spirit and sentiment of the resistance is growing within this mind, and it's starting to swell to a point where it will become too big for even Kaido or Orochi to control. And right now, it all pretty much starts in this mind. Like even like here's the thing, even if Queen's arrival managed to stunt it in manages to stunt like any kind of rebellion within the prison mind for a certain period of time, there's like no stopping what's going to happen right now. And what Luffy started inside the prison, and especially he's definitely going to like it's definitely going to play out in he's definitely going to explode. Like it's going to reach the prison is reaching a bit of a boiling point right now, and it's only gonna get worse for Queen. And of course, another thing, obviously, to that point is the fact that Raizo now has the keys. So yeah, things are pretty much falling into place where the prisoners are going to rise up, and yeah, Queen's going to lose control very easily after that point. now, obviously, just from the little bit I've already said, you can tell I very much like this episode. But despite how much I enjoyed the episode, I do need to talk about art and animation, because here's the thing: when it comes to the art and animation this week, it's one of those things where neither was really great, but at the same time, despite it not being great, I can still see there was an effort, at least effort put into the episode, at least when it comes to evaluating it under the current circumstances, where you can tell it was obviously rushed, where you can tell this episode was very obviously rushed out, but in a lot of ways you can still see that they at least tried to put their best effort forward. And I guess the episode itself, and the episode is very reflective of that, but the episode itself, I think it's one of those things where they kind of lucked out in some way, because the episode itself is one that didn't necessarily require absolute stellar art and animation, so you can kind of say that the circumstances themselves are kind of forgivable and work in this episode's favor. But the big problem going forward is what's going to happen when we do get to those episodes that are going to require a little bit more effort with the art and animation. Like, is the current situation going to be a problem for this? But I guess I guess it's a thing where we're just really just gonna have to wait and see, depending on what happens. I don't know. Like right now, it does feel kind of, when it comes to the current situation, it does feel just a little bit off the rocker right now. Like it just does feel a little bit. You don't know what's gonna happen right now. So, but yeah. Now the other character we get introduced to in this chapter is the warden Babanuki. And the thing with Babanuki is that he did have a very strong showing against Luffy in this chapter, but at the same time, just seeing him again in the anime, it did kind of remind me just how much he does get shafted, and in general as a character felt the most wasted in terms of how he was utilized in this arc. Because really, when you really look at his setup, he's really just a glorified punching bag for Luffy to get stronger. And honestly, I think there was some. I get the reasoning behind that, I do, but there's a part of me looking back on Babanuki now that makes me realize there was some wasted potential with him, that there really was. And I think Goto really could have made him a much stronger villain than he was. But yeah, and and again, even the Queen to an extent had that same problem, but less with Queen and more with Babanuki for sure. Like with Babanuki, like he was presented as like the warden of this prison, but he's presented as the warden of this prison, and let's just say he's not exactly gonna serve that purpose all too well coming up here. Um, but yeah, guys, that's all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, and listen to Crunchyroll. Death Knight Anime, signing off. Later, guys.